God gives us many ways to help us know Him and remember who He is and how much He loves us. Because God loves His people, He gave order to their work and days and wrote special celebrations called feasts on their calendars that would help them remember His faithfulness in the past and His promise of a rescuer coming in the future. One of the final ways Jesus showed His followers who He was by celebrating a feast.
The Feast of Israel, Passover.
What were God's people remembering at the Feast of Passover?
God made His promise to a nation of people through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who God later called Israel. Jacob, or Israel, gave his favorite son Joseph a special coat. His brothers became jealous of Joseph and sold him into slavery to Egypt and dipped his special coat in blood so his father thought he was dead, even though he wasn't. Joseph followed God and was set free from slavery, and eventually he was able to save his family from going hungry when there wasn't enough food in the land. And Jacob's family, Israel, grew to be a great nation while living in the land of Egypt. But eventually a new Pharaoh came that didn't remember Joseph and his family, and they were now a big nation of Israelites, living in Egypt's land instead of the land God promised Abraham. Pharaoh tried to stop the nation of Israel from growing any bigger, against the promise God had made them. And Pharaoh made an order to kill all of their sons. He made the people Egypt's slaves. But one of Israel's baby boys was rescued and grew up to be a prince in Pharaoh's own court. And God used that boy, Moses, to lead his people out of slavery and into the land He promised them. But Pharaoh's heart was hard, and it took many terrible signs called plagues for Pharaoh to know that God was the most powerful and in control. The final sign was that the firstborn sons would die. Pharaoh had killed Israel's sons, and now because of his hard heart, the sons of Egypt would die too. God told His people that if they followed Him, their sons would be safe, but they must take the blood of a perfect young lamb and paint it on their doorposts. He gave them special instructions to prepare the meat with bitter herbs and bread without yeast. Everything had to be prepared so they would be ready and able to leave Egypt quickly. At night, all of the houses that were prepared with the blood of the lamb would be passed over and saved from death. And then they were free from slavery in Egypt.
How does the feast show God's people about a rescuer coming in the future?
Like the Israelites that were born into slavery in Egypt, we are all born with slavery to sin in our hearts. It's kind of like we have our own little Pharaoh in there, thinking he knows better than God. We are stubborn and try to do things our own way, and the only way for us to be free from sin, so we're not stuck as slaves anymore, is for God to give us His firstborn Son, Jesus, a perfect Lamb. Jesus' blood paints the doorposts of our hearts, and then death, the price for our freedom, passes over us too. And like the Israelites, we must be ready to run away quickly from slavery and sin, and to give thanks and show our love to God, because He loved us so much, and we owe our life and freedom to Him.
Thanks for watching.